Hey, what's going on guys? This is Kedar here, and today in this video on IRS, a big news on IRS, House of Republicans voted on the bill to abolish the IRS, which means complete elimination of income tax. And while abolishing the IRS would mean that the federal agency responsible for imposing the tax laws and collecting the taxes would no longer exist. And this would likely have a significant impact on the government's ability to fund itself. And this could potentially lead to an increase in the nation debt. Also, there are much more things which are impacting. Also, it's important to note that the abolition of the IRS and the elimination of the income tax are very complex issues that would likely have many unintended consequences, and there are some trade-offs and different perspectives on this topic. It's very important to carefully consider all the implications before making any sort of a decision. Now, by abolishing the IRS, what we exactly mean? So actually, the House of Representatives voted to abolish the IRS and replace the income tax with the fair tax system. Now, what is this fair tax system? We'll check that out in a detail. However, quickly before we start this video, be sure to check out our channel How To Guys and subscribe with all the bell notification turn on, whether it's a stimulus update, SNAP emergency allotments, benefits, raises to your benefits. We have got tons of videos onto our channel, so be sure to check this out. And without further ado, let's get right into all the important details. So, as for the latest news, Republicans in the House of Representatives will vote on a bill that would abolish the Internal Revenue Service, that is the IRS. And they are trying to eliminate the nationwide income tax, and they are trying to replace that one with the nationwide consumption tax. As per the reports from Fox News Digital, House will be voting on Georgia's Republican Representative Buddy Carter's reintroduced Fair Tax Act. Now you might be asking, what is fair tax? Well, fair tax is a proposal that replaces the current income tax system with a consumption tax, which would apply to all the goods and services at a set rate. And while the proponents of the fair tax argue that it would be more fair and efficient system than the current system, and because it would be based on the consumption rather than the income, it would eliminate all the need for the IRS. While many opponents argue that it would disproportionately affect the low-income individuals and would be regressive in nature. Moving forward, well, the vote on the bill was made as a part of the deal between the House Speaker Kevin McCarthy and Arcliffe and the members of the House Freedom Caucus, and was pushed forward in his quest for the gavel last week. In his statement, Carter said in the press release, co-sponsoring this Georgia-made legislation was my first act as a member of Congress, and it is fittingly the first bill I'm introducing in the 118th Congress. And well, instead of adding 87,000 new agents to weaponize the IRS against the small businesses, this bill will eliminate the need for the department entirely. And they are doing so by simplifying the tax code with the provisions that work for the American people and encourage growth and innovation. Later, he added, armed and unelected bureaucrats should not have more power over your paychecks than you do. As a formal small business owner, I understand the unnecessary burden of failing income tax system has on Americans, said Republican Jeff Duncan in his statement. Therefore, the Fair Tax Act will eliminate the tax code entirely and will replace the income tax with the sales tax. And this will abolish the abusive Internal Revenue Service, and if enacted, this will invigorate American taxpayers and help more Americans to achieve the American dream. The fair tax system simplifies our tax code, and this one transforms the system from a convoluted system to a fully transparent and unbiased system. And this one is really good for our economy because it encourages to work, savings, and investments. And we have seen a continued growth for the IRS and persistent punishment of hardworking Americans via their tax code. And through this fair tax, what they are calling for is a simplified fair code that works for all and not just some people. And more specifically, this bill gets rid of the national, personal, and corporate income taxes and abolishes the IRS, which is slated to hire 87,000 new agents unless congressional Republicans can stop it, as well as they are implementing a national sales tax. Also, additionally, the bill gets rid of the death, gift, and payroll taxes, and it would replace the new current tax code with national consumption tax. And here is why the House of GOP made the defunding the IRS its first priority. Well, the House GOP's first policy bill out of the gate didn't address the inflation or gas prices or immigration, but instead it went after the Internal Revenue Service. And the bill was passed on Monday evening on straight party line vote of 221 to 210 to reverse much of the $80 billion in extra funding which is set aside for the agencies by 2022's Inflation Reduction Act. While it has very little chance of being enacted anytime soon with the Democrats in control of the Senate, and the prominence of the issue shows that how much the IRS become heated target of Republicans. That's despite the experts saying that the funds in question would go towards the prosaic concern like helping agency chase down cheats and refresh its outdated technology. And the enhanced funding for the IRS is a part of the broad Biden's administration strategy to tax and audit exponentially more Americans, said Republican Adrian Smith as debate got underway on Monday. Later, he also added that bill would stop autopilot funding for an out-of-control government agency that is perhaps the most needed of a reform. Then Speaker Kevin McCarthy then announced the final result of the vote once it has passed, nothing that it had been a GOP promise. And well, there is a absolutely false viral claims, and the claim from the countless Republicans from Speaker McCarthy on down is that the influx of the money will lead to flood of 87,000 of new IRS agents who will then turn and harass everyday Americans. And some critics of the agency go even further and claim that these new agents will be armed, but the fact checkers have repeatedly debunked the claims, and the agency itself pushed back in their statement in the August. Looks like these viral claims are absolutely false, and this one is often perceived as an easy target for mischaracterizations, and looks like this new money will not lead to increase in audit scrutiny on households making under $400,000. Instead, the plan is for much of the money to go towards wealthy tax cheats. IRS eliminates this so-called tax gaps. Well, this tax gap is the difference between what taxes are owed to the government and what is actually being paid. Then this one is actually hundreds of billions of dollars a year, and much of the $80 billion will be focused on taking a bite of the gap and focusing on wealthy taxpayers. And well, this investment is projected to pay itself and then bring over $100 billion in increased tax revenue over the coming decade. And by contrast, a new analysis from the Congressional Budget Office released Monday afternoon found that the net effect of the House GOP's bill to defund the IRS agency would increase the deficit by more than $114.3 billion over the coming decade if enacted. And therefore, with the new funding, IRS could hire estimated 86,852 new employees, but many of those would not be agents. Many would work in areas like information technology, and nearly all the agents would be unarmed. And looks like the average American is caring about defunding the IRS for their 87,000 agents. While on the other side, Democrats repeatedly attack Republicans for holding a vote on the bill and also for making their first priority, implying that they will use it against Republicans in the coming years. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end. Make sure to hit that like, share this video, subscribe to our channel How To Guys with all the bell notification, and this is Kedar from How To Guys signing out.